So I'm always going to share what I'm personally dealing with, what I'm personally working through. And for me, first week of September, there's been a lot of thoughts about my dad, starting off with seeing the case sign go up and seeing those first 3 letters go up. A lot of people don't know, but when I first thought about Case, I was working through some things, 2011, 2012, and I was thinking about my purpose and why I'm in real estate in the first place, and I thought about 2 people. I thought about my dad, who was my first exposure to sales and Glengarry Glen Ross and the art of closing. He was the ultimate closer. And then I think about my son, and I was just running on a treadmill and I just saw my dad's initials, which are KAS, and I thought about my firstborn son, Eli. And yesterday would have been my dad's birthday. He would have been 58. And I think a lot about how I feel like my purpose was to kind of course correct, was to kind of break a bit of a generational curse and do my best to shift the direction of my name. My dad and I had the exact same name. And what I think about a lot is how my dad grew up. And the reality is, when my dad was 5, 6 years old, he was found in a house full of gas. The gas was turned on, and my dad's mother my grandma went to prison. And I think about what that must have been like for my dad to learn that when he was about 10 or 11 years old, that his mother tried to do that to him, and how he spent so much of his life trying to overcome this feeling of worthlessness. That's who he was in his core, trying to work through that. And when I was 5, I know he didn't mean to do this, but my dad essentially did the same thing that his mother did to him. He told me some things that kind of robbed me of my personal mindset of being worth anything. I caught my dad cheating and having an affair, and when my mom asked me where I was that day, it was February 15th, 1987. I told my mom that I was with Dad and I was at someone else's house. And he told me, "Look at what you did to your mother." And I remember my mom bawling her eyes out. I'm 5, 6 years old. And I remember talking to my dad on the phone and him saying, "Look at what you did to your mother. Look at what you did." And I remember at 5 or 6 years old just feeling worthless. And guess what? I carried that energy everybody has something that happens to them, whether it's as dark as my past or whether it's some make-believe story where you asked a question in grade school and you didn't get the answer right and everybody made fun of you. But we all have these things that we go through from 4 to 6, 7 years old when our mind is such a sponge. We tell ourselves something, we label ourselves something at a very early age. And for me, when my dad told me those things, it had the same impact that his mother had on him. He did the same thing to me. And I spent my life trying to overcome this feeling of worthlessness, from doing good in school to skateboarding to trying to make money to having nice things to, I earned my first 6 figures when I was 19 years old. And no matter how much I earned or what I obtained from the world, it never uncovered or washed away that feeling of worthlessness. It was like trying to build a mansion on quicksand. And it wasn't until I had a son at 17 that I started to change the course of my life and realize that now that I have a son, this is my opportunity to make a difference. This is an opportunity to change what my last name means. So I want to have a conversation about how to overcome the negative mindset and win. We've got to remember, it's not what happens to us, it's about how we react to what happens that makes the difference. And there's a process called recognize, realize, and recreate. Because something happens, XYZ happens. You get bit by a dog or you get chased by a dog when you're a little kid, and now forever you're scared of dogs, right? You got pulled over once, now a cop is behind you and you're doing everything right, but there's a nervousness, there's a feeling inside of you that something bad is going to happen. And when you're in a funk, when you're going through something, step one is recognize it, catch it. Notice that vibration that you have that is feeling lack, that is feeling fear, that is feeling doubt. Remember, unless you face your fears, that fear is always going to be near. That fear is always going to be in your ear. You have to face that fear and recognize, why am I feeling this way? Catch it. Because a lot of times, that ego, right? Our ego is not our amigo. That ego is a subconscious thing that we don't even notice it's there. We're just feeling like crap and we don't even understand why. So step one is recognize it, catch it. Hello, yup, I'm feeling whack. What's that all about? Step two is realize. And what I say is realize the realize. There's whatever the situation is, there's the situation and then there's the story that we made up about the situation. Somebody said XYZ and you have a conversation in your mind about something entirely different that is not what they actually said. So realize the realize and do your best to break down the situation from reality and your make-believe BS story that might be digging you a very deep hole. Once you can differentiate the story from reality, step number 3 is recreate. And by recreate, it is your opportunity to create a new story, to create a new empowering story. And this doesn't only happen with the negative stuff. A lot of times we create self-imposing, self-sabotaging stories with the positive things that happen to us. For example, I was on the line the other day with a really good friend of mine, Chris Jones, title dude extraordinaire, and he was telling me about his month, his August. And he said his August was absolutely insane, and he closed 130 deals. I'm so proud of my guy. And I asked him, so what are you gonna do for September? And he said, well, I think I'm gonna do like 120. And I'm like, so why are you going down? And he said, well, you know, August was a longer month. It was a little bit of a fluke month, and that was a lot to do that much. And I said, that's your story? That's the story you're gonna go with? You absolutely killed it, and you're choosing to tell yourself that that was a fluke? How about you consider that instead of calling it a fluke, you call it your norm? This is what you do. You call this your new basic foundation. That 130 is now your starting point. This is what you do. How's that as a new foundation? Instead of a fluke, this is your new foundation. This is what you do. How's that for a story? And he's like, damn, I think I like that story even more. So remember, we always have an opportunity to create our own story. So if you're going to create a story, why not create a story that empowers you, that inspires you, that fuels you to do even more? And step number 3, this is one of my favorite processes of all time. This is what the foundation of the law of attraction is, and it's simply remember, be, do, have. The process of be, do, have is the ultimate breakthrough for you to remember at all times. See, because we're trained from an upbringing that, well, once I pass this class, well, then I could go on in this class, and then I could go on to college, and then I could go and once I have these new things, then I can go and be that person. We're brought up to think that first you have to have, then you can do to ultimately be. And I believe that frame of mind, that way of thinking is absolutely in reverse. Have, do, be never happens. As long as you live your life thinking that once I have the car, once I have the diploma, once I have my real estate license, once I have a verification on Instagram, once I have a manager, once I have, you know, whatever that BS story is that you're saying, once I have that, then I can go and do that, then I can go and be that guy. That never happens. Because until you realize that the greatness is within, until you realize that the ultimate ability to manifest and attract is from within, it's from your own personal energy, it's your mindset telling you, believing you that you are it right now. Until you have that, it does not matter what you have on the outside. It's what you have on the inside. And the inside is your being choice that you have every single day to choose faith over fear, to choose greatness, to choose to be empowered, to choose to be inspired instead of tired. But you have to choose to be it. No company, no mentor, no weekend crash course is going to cause you to be the ultimate greatest version of yourself. You have to make a being choice every single day that today I'm going to be the best version of myself. And guess what? There's going to be some challenges. There's going to be situations that stop you, that block you, that cause you to wrestle with who you believe you're ultimately supposed to be. That's the whole point, because greatness comes from the struggle. Greatness doesn't come from the walk in the park. The art of be, do, have is only for people who are striving for something awesome. If you think your life is going to change from the weekend crash course, then that is simply a measure of your goals. And your goals are able to be achieved by simply doing something on the weekend. If you are really looking to achieve something bigger, if you're really looking to achieve greatness, you've got to remember that starts from within. The process is be, do, have. And you have the opportunity to create a being choice each and every single day. I heard an amazing quote, more of a verse this weekend, and it said, this is from Big Sean. He said, "It's not about the trophy, it's about what it took to grab it. And if you're feeling stagnant, just know that you're attracting the energy you put out there. You're a walking magnet. Life can be a struggle, but what isn't, that's worth having." Stay focused, stay inspired. Let's make some serious power moves this week, and I'll talk to you guys soon.